So let me share some slides. Please hang on for maybe 15 minutes or so. I will share a slide deck. I was taking some notes during doing multitasking, but at least it'll be good to have. Let me see. Right. Okay, so I know many of you attended yesterday also, but today we'll just summarize today's discussion. So just to begin with, Purba had to leave to catch a flight, but again, I'd like to thank APL. Well, first let's start with IEEE Standards Association, who sponsored this. And there are other technical co-sponsors like Johns Hopkins APL, Future Networks, Region 1, Region 2, 5G, 6G Innovation Testbed, and all the folks who helped me and APL colleagues over here. I'd like to thank them. And we'll have a closing remarks later on, but so Purba from the staff side and myself and Mehmet, we are co-chairs for 6G. I'm also chair for Open RAN. So this RRSA, we combine the activities that's going on in Open RAN and 6G because we found a lot of synergy, although these are two different working groups right now, to make it focus a little bit, right? Otherwise it'll all get mixed up. So yesterday we had about 24 talks. Today we had, I was counting, we had one no-show, but there are at least basically 3 no-show, but one of them, yeah, 3 no-show. So we got about 13 presentations. That's fine. We'll give an opportunity to those who could not join today to talk about it in our monthly meetings. I just wanted to give you I didn't share this slide, but now that we have gone through some of the topics today for the RRSA, this kind of lists the type of topics that we did last year, 10th of August, and actually it was APL through. And as you can see, Alex gave a best practice thing, and then Chatai, who unfortunately couldn't join, had a very interesting talk on resilience. That's also decided to get to par. And then Dilip, who gave a revised talk this time after putting everything in par and having a scope document. And there are a few others, at least we identify 1 or 2 of those who potentially could be par document, and we have to follow up. So that was last year, right? So then what we did this year, I'll just go through. So we had initially, Alex talked about thing with help from Mehmet. Then we had part discussion. We spent about an hour on that. That was good. Then Paul Stephens from Nokia, need for data exposure. I have individual slides for each of those, quickly go over that. Then, what happened? We have Ole and Clifton on security, AML, the continuous monitoring. Jasprit talked about interfacing RIC and RIS, RIS. Nishant talked about RAN management, DApps, real-time RIC. Then Nishant had a second talk on Open RAN security. Then Dabursi talked about the game theoretic approach, connecting network slicing with services, and provided a framework model. We missed Jonah. Hopefully we can get his talk one of the monthly meetings. Alejandro talked about improve the security over fronthaul terrestrial, and this is also an interesting one. Then we talked about the drifting part, drift handling for ORAN, that was also interesting. Then Rafi talked about another interesting aspect, systems engineering aspect, and then parallel learning, the last one. Did I miss anybody? Lunch break, coffee break. Yeah, I think okay. All right, and then I will briefly go over, these are my, please excuse the formatting part. So I was taking some notes just as a review. So Alex, you gave again, another interesting overview, and Mehmet joined later on to answer many of the questions. And there are a few questions like we ask, okay, what is the success story for a PAR, right? And the life cycle of a PAR, for example. And you also mentioned it is not only standards, if somebody can write a guide, recommended practice, these are also interesting output. As you will see, some of the presentation we made those notes. You provided some sample use cases. Then you also gave a very nice view of IEEE SA structure and how things have improved to benefit the users who get involved in SA activities. You gave an example of IEEE Fellow, which, through your efforts now, standards is a component for evaluation of IEEE Fellow as a separate category, which is a very important thing. Many of us, we spend time defining new standards and contributing. That's very good to know. After so many years, we had a standards thing got added as a evaluation criterion. And Alex, maybe feel free to chime in, but I just thought that was an excellent presentation with question and answer, right?
Just one corrections here on the second bullet. Those various types of documents, we call them standardization documents of SA. In other words, whether it's guide, recommended practice, or standard, they go through exactly the same process. They go through the ballot, public ballot, sponsor ballot, and whatever you call them. But they are called types of standardization documents.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Okay, that's great. Thank you. So one of the things which we did not do and which like to fill the gap, as Mehmet pointed out, so right up to this, I took the notes and I have to follow with each of you to come up with task item, and then we can discuss that in the monthly just to get things going, right? All right, next one, Dilip, we had a lot of discussion over this, discussion heterogeneous RIC. He had three documents. One was the slide to introduce the whole idea. Then he had a written up document to flesh it out a little bit more. Then he also had a PAR written up for review. So we spent a lot of time to kind of make the PAR a little bit stronger with help from Mehmet and Alex. And hopefully that was a good illustration for the rest of us who are there, because you now know what to do when you have to write. And there are some suggestions from folks like performance aspects, cognitive work. And Dilip is going to write the PAR format and put it in the SA database, and also reach out to other contributors. All right, Paul Stephens talked of the security. Is from Nokia, control loops, flexibility, RIC as a service rather than RIC as a platform, traffic sharing, energy saving. So the consensus was to really create a potential separate PAR. And I'm going to reach out to him and have Mehmet and Alex also help a little bit on that. So there are some suggestions. Maybe there is an overlap with the previous one, but this is clearly has a different aspects, right? Then Ole and Clifton, they talked about AI ML security, continuous security monitoring for ORAN, although this could be applicable to a larger framework. So the next step, the recommendation was create a task force with security working group members from FNTC, because the security working group is also looking towards getting some power out, so we can join forces there. Nishant theory, advancing RAN with DApps, real-time RIC. Again, this is a little different topic, and on management side. So recommendation was, he had a pretty good use cases. They may have already product in Fujitsu research. But next step was create task force on RAN management, extended white paper, and then we'll see how PAR will come out of it. He had a second one on 6G Open RAN security, interoperability, zero trust, threat taxonomy. It's a good document with a lot of things into it. It was not that focused. So we thought he could be a good contributor to the security framework document that we have been considering within security working group. So We will invite Nishant. I have a separate meeting with Iman and folks from Nokia. Jasprit gave a different twist to the discussion today from University of Glasgow. And she talked about reconfigurable intelligent surface with RIC, how the RIC can benefit with the integration of RIS, right? And the reconfiguring intelligent surface is getting a lot of momentum. So there are, she showed some initial prototypes, although not the integration aspect, but so we thought should be defining the scope a little bit, define the interfacing, write an extended white paper, then we'll see the power part, right, after the extended white paper. Deborsi also brought a new topic to the table. So resource allocation from IIT Kharagpur, service provisioning for softwareized, I have to move this thing, softwareized slicing using game theory. So his focus was more like resource management network slicing. So creating a slice using SDN and NFV is a standard practice, right? Everybody does it. How to make it optimized? If there are 10 services running and you have to assign one slice to one service, another slice to another service, and do dynamic resource sharing among the slices, you need to make it cost-effective manner. So he came up with a interesting model, a model-based approach to provide the optimization. I think Mehmet kind of grasped that towards the end when he was talking, model and framework to provide optimization based on economics of service or quality of service of the service. So, so the next steps, what I took here, write an extended white paper, develop the scope, framework, and fill out the PAR after the scope is finalized, and present the details in the next Open RAN monthly meeting. All right, next one, we have a few more to go. Alessandro from Italy, he spoke about security for open, fronthaul, and terrestrial in India. This is also an interesting presentation, gave a different twist. And now with lots of interest with NTN and terrestrial, there are some loopholes in terms of existing security. And so you talked about securities in M-plane, S-plane, C-plane, selective interception removal can impact timing. There are deployment challenges using the current mode of MACsec. And so he provided some new way of providing the security for the frontal part. There was some discussion between, I don't know that I wrote the right part number there, Mehmet and Alex, in 1914 or 14 or 40, I'm not sure, I didn't catch it properly, but so it could be a potential new PAR, right? But we still, before that, define the scope, write an extended white paper, define the architecture. That's what I found. Fill out the PAR after the scope is finalized.
Ashutosh, in either case, it's a PAR. You need to write a PAR, whether it's 1914.3.1 or another standard, but in both cases, you need a PAR, right?
Yeah.
I would say, or another standard or something, instead of a new PAR.
1914 is somebody else's group. You gotta like really appeal to them. It's
yeah. I mean, that's that's detail, Alex.
Yeah, but it can be a showstopper.
I mean, we're not representing our standard committees here, right? We are representing whole IEEE, so they can go anywhere they want.
No, that's true. But this is like Chilean's kingdom, you know.
It's under the Oliver, so that Mobinet.
Yes, Standards Committee.
So I mean, if you want to talk, you can talk. He can talk to Oliver. It's called Mobinet SC.
Is Oliver Holland? What is?
Yeah, Oliver Holland. Yes.
Yeah.
But point I was trying to make, Alex, over there, whether it's an extension or new ... you need a PAR. You need to go through the process.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So then
but it's a difference, right? With the extension, they need to first get socialize it with them, then get to the part.
In either case, you have to socialize it.
Oh, they may not agree. Then it's a separate
yeah,
part.
if they may not agree, we just have to, I don't, we have to see pros and cons of being at .1 or have a something 19 some whatever, right?
Yeah, I mean, we are not mandating anything. We are making
Yeah,
recommendations here, suggestions.
yeah. So, sorry, Caroline, you have a question? What was the question?
Yeah, the security protocols and standards for all terrestrial are established, and some of them are triggered by the Department of Defense.
Right.
And so I hear this group deciding to go on its own way with likely not 100% that other vehicle manufacturers will follow each other's distance standards. So what was the plan?
Yeah. A good question. So Caroline was asking, obviously there are some existing standards, security standards for NTN, but I don't know whether they've used it for this specific purpose on NTN, because they're also, when I talk to DoD or other folks, they look up to IEEE to see are there any new security standards. So you're right. So we have to connect with them, maybe have them as one of the contributor to this.
Because for things that have already been launched, that's established. Whatever's going on board is established. The other problem that you haven't talked about is if you have security standards or protocols of type A, and this group is considering type B, what do you do with things that come from type A and go to type B? You haven't talked about the interface.
Okay, type A, type B. Okay, all right. So Caroline, maybe if you're interested, I'll ask Alejandra to reach out to you, right? I'll talk to you separately. Thanks for pointing it out. Is a gap analysis, right? Something good. All right, excellent. Okay, let me go to the next one. All right, so Venkatesh, this is something I learned something new today, and some of us in the audience are discussing that. Venkatesh, are you still there on the call or not?
Yes, Professor. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is also another interesting thing. We have whole AI ML model features, but what happens? This is drift, right? I mean, you're trying to do something good, maybe the wrong thing will happen because the algorithm drifts or whatever. So you pointed out many of the bad aspects of the drifting, including performance degradation, data stream-based hybrid, what are the different approaches to take care of it. And then you also provided some use cases, energy use case, interference with other XApps, adaptive models. And Alex suggested that we should have a recommended practice type standards document for this. So maybe you can have something written up. You already have some, maybe already have some paper, then you can present it in our next monthly meetings, one of the next monthly meetings. Miss anything?
Sure, Professor. For now, actually, only single stream intelligent, like only we work focusing on single XApp or RAP is what we were doing. But our idea is to focus on multi-stream or multiple XApps or RAPs, because it is quite possible to have more than one XApp or RAP in any architecture. So that's where we are focusing on that. So far there are no works to the best of our knowledge. So we are just uh, trying to look into that and take suggestions and focus on that.
Okay, all right. So you got your work cut out, right? So that's good. So I think the whole purpose is to really create some task force in the process and work item. All right, then the last two talks, so this is Rafi's talk. This also provided a different aspects, integrating human-centered design into Open RAN 60 standardization. Something caught my eyes when Mehmet said standards for how to design standards. Mehmet or Alex, from one of them, told about it. And then you both also talked about how it has some resemblance or linkage with the 700 series over covers ethics, right? And then some legal aspects as well. Rafi, are you still on the call? So I just taking some of the
Yes,
points.
I'm here.
Yeah, so these are the things I just noted. Again, you have the whole slide that will be available to folks. The users, operators, stakeholders, right? Those are the one, how to make it flexible, adaptable. So we often forget those aspects. So this could be a good recommended practice guide. But you need to define the scope. So my suggestion would be, if you haven't written anything up, please write a Word document. And then we'll see how we can fill out a PAR. I don't know if it's a recommended practice guide. Alex and Mehmet, do we have to go through PAR process or there's a different form?
No, you have to go through the same process, yeah.
Same process, okay.
Never told you, it's just like a standard. It's the same thing.
Okay, got it. All right, it's more clear now. Okay. And then Kim, that was the last talk of today. I hope I didn't miss anybody during the process. And about federated learning, why federated learning? Then he focused on the ORAN aspects. There are several use cases he talked about: MVNO infrastructure, sovereignty management, distributed RAN optimization, energy efficiency, application development. So now there are a lot of discussion about, is it focused just for ORAN, or maybe it can be applicable to overall framework, but the initial target is ORAN. So I think we all agreed that this could be a good PAR, just like the first one that Dilip, I think first and second probably are going to be PAR for standard. So Kim, we will send you the PAR form, maybe fill it out, define the scope, then we'll get it reviewed by Mehmet and Alex, who are the standards board chairs, to take it to the next step.
Sure. Thank you.
All right, so now I have just 2-3 slides. So now that, how do we get engaged, right? So we have these two working group, Open RAN, which IC 21009, and then IC 22007, right? So many of the topics we cover, some of them may fall into Open RAN working group, some may fall into 6G, and some may have overlap. That's fine. But these are the kind of things we are looking into in Open RAN initiative. Even integrating with testbed, Dilip talked about it. Now we have access to the IEEE 5G testbed also. So we like to keep this working group active, and many of you can join. Some of you haven't joined, or your colleagues haven't joined, please send mail to oran@IEEE.org. And Purba and Rosalinda, they help us out with this. We continue to do webinars, workshop events. If you'd like to be a speaker at any of these, we do collaborate with Future Network, many other OUs, even Open RAN Alliance. Chelene had a panel in Mobile World Congress. She had invited me. I was a panelist representing IEEE there. It was a very good, tight collaboration with Open RAN Alliance also. Then Mehmet and I, we co-chair the 6G technology. We have to expedite some of the work here. We started a little late, but now 6G is catching up, although there are similarities a little bit ORAN 6G, but we'll focus mostly on the core aspects of 6G here, while Open RAN focuses just on the Open RAN part. So we wanted to keep it separate for now. If it converges later on, that's fine. But this provides some opportunity to folks who are not really working on Open RAN, but mostly on the core aspects or edge aspect, and they can focus on some of the parts around that. So we have similar approach there, and maybe we'll have a monthly meeting also in 6G as well. And this has to be renewed, but we need to expedite our efforts there. And if you want to join 6G at IEEE.org, there are members who are common to both. But this provides core, edge, and application side. Open RAN just focuses on the RAN side. So I see distinct between that. Now, I think I spoke enough. In closing remark, Purba is not here, but I wanted to thank everybody for both the days who joined. We had about 1,200 to 1,300 online registration, which is pretty good. And I'd like to thank all the IEEE Standards Activity staff who helped set up the web page, registration, keeping us updated. I have bothered them a lot, but they have been kind enough to reply to my email. And all my volunteer colleagues, student colleagues, Anuraj, Mithun, and others who have helped. And obviously, all the on-site attendees who took time and stayed here until the end. We had a very interesting reception. A lot of good discussion happened there. I'm going to see some of those. In the process, we recruited more contributors as well. Mehmet, I'll give you the last words for you if you want to say any.
Yeah. So I want to thank you so much, and I think you've done a heroic job here, almost single-handedly, getting organized all these things, getting all the staff and volunteers, and it was a fantastic 2-day packed event, content-wise and otherwise. So I hope that everyone liked it, benefited from this, and it was a very productive meeting. Thank you, Ashutosh.
No, thank you for being part of the team, and I get a lot of advice, suggestions. And with that, I think I'd like to thank my AV colleagues up there who have been kind enough. They're just dancing, that thing is over at least. Sam, Nick, Bill, Christine Kreider, her team, Jenny, they helped set up the Zoom, and all the past events, they have helped a lot. And all the post-processing you see in the YouTube from last year, like 2023, they all have been processed by my AV colleagues, John O'Brien and his team. And hopefully you can join the next one, and we'd like to see more people on site. And let's continue to make progress with our monthly meetings. And there is a listserv. We have an iMeet as well. People like to discuss. We don't have to wait for the monthly meeting to discuss, but through email we can do a lot of work. All right, that's all. Now it's 5:20 almost, and have a great evening, great day, great week, a great weekend, and stay safe and healthy. Thanks, folks.